Hello and welcome to my super beginner friendly knitting hat project video. This video is inspired by my friend Jay, who despite working in IT and having a degree in physics apparently cannot cope with counting to 7 and therefore wanted a different way to finish the top of a hat. So I've devised 3 different patterns. The knitting for them is all the same, but the way that the finishing happens will give 3 different hats essentially. So I was using these 5mm circular needles, and you do need to have circular to do this pattern exactly as is, and double knit yarn. I've used I think this is pretty much a full 50 gram skein when I started, so 50 grams minus about that much for a hat that's about the size of my head, so kind of a small adult or a woman's adult. For the kind of men's hat, which is the first one that I did, I cast on 88 stitches. That was quite big and baggy. And for the other 2 I cast on 74, which was a much sort of better fit for kind of woman size. So you've kind of got like a woman's and a men's, just based on kind of like small head or big head. All of these are worked from the brim upwards, although because they are tubes, which you'll see, you can work them up or down. I would say it's probably better to have the cast off at the top, because that can end up being a little bit tighter, and having that kind of here where you do need it to fit a bit better, probably not the best idea. So brim upwards, and I worked a garter stitch border, cast on my stitches, worked backwards and forwards, and then joined into the round to make a stocking stitch hat. You could do garter stitch the whole way along and just work back and forth and then sew up the whole seam, or you could make like a rolled brim, so you could just make it longer and then let it roll up, and then not have to do any back and forth and just go straight into knitting in the round. For mine, where I did kind of a bit of forwards and backwards and then round and round, that meant that I had a brim with about that much sewing to do, so I just kind of sewed that up and that was all fine. So main event, let's look at the hats. So this is the first one that I made. This is the one with the 88 stitches, and it's the Catch a Wave yarn. I got gifted some and I wanted to knit it into something. I did say I think that it was double knit yarn that I'm using for all of these. So this is, I don't know if people saw the snoods when they came out. I feel like this was a big thing in camping shops sort of 15 years ago. Essentially what I've made is a cowl, or a snood, so it can be worn as a scarf. However, I've installed a drawstring, which is how they always used to be. You used to get them as like fleece, and then like they have the drawstring in them. So if you wanted to pull it up to the top of your head, you can draw in the drawstring. Get it at the right position. This one's too big for my head. Draw it all into the drawstring. Tie it into a nice little bow. This is a very hat hair video. And now you have a hat. So it's good if you want both options, or you want a hat that you don't have to carry around, so you can just wear it as a scarf. But yeah, so that is option number 1. Knit a little tube, and then install a drawstring. The drawstrings that I installed, I did a different braiding technique, so it made like a round braid. You can knit an I-cord, you can just use a couple of yarns with a knot in the end to hold them together, or what I tend to do is plait. So you can do 3 or 6 or whatever, plait to a drawstring, and then you just tuck it in between the stitches. So literally just kind of poke it through like that. And I usually find that the stiffness of the knot on the end of the cord is enough to just poke it into the holes where the stitches are. And then you put the drawstring wherever you want. So you don't need to do anything fancy with casings or anything like that. Whatever braiding or plaiting, or you can use a different bit of cord, you can use something contrasting, or like I've done here, the same, so it kind of all blends in. So that is hat option number 1. Hat option number 2, which I enjoy, For this one, I've held 2 strands of double knit together, which has made it quite nice and stiff, which is good for this design, though not essential. And this is the slightly smaller set. This is the 74 stitches. And for this one, you sew just along the top, and then you sew each corner to the right size so that it fits on your head. And what you end up with is cat ears. It's so cute and it's so simple. But yeah, it's a cat ear hat, and if you're in the mood to like embroider the nose on, you can. These were, I think this is the kind of method that a lot of people were using when they were making the Pink Pussy like protest hats. It was like part of a feminist issue. It's had criticism, and also it's been like a positive and negative things for different people in the feminist space. But this is the method for making a cat hat, should you want one for personal or political reasons. Wear one to your next political rally. But yeah, so this is like a nice little cat ear thing. I've used a running stitch through here. You can also then like pull it a bit tighter, and that can give a bit of a different shape, so you can end up with something a little bit more bat-like if you had it in black, or more pig-like in pink if you wanted to. And you can kind of go crazy with adding more. If you're new to knitting but quite into crafting, this is also quite a good base for if you're into like gluing the little felt shapes. So you could glue on the little nose and then like the pink into the ears, so that could make like quite a good base for that. This one's like a nice warm hat. It's doing really nice things for my ear that doesn't have any hair over it, because I've held it double. So this is method number 2, cat ears. Method number 3, again this is smaller, and I've just used a variegated yarn, which can be a nice way to introduce colour work into a project. And what I've done with this one is do it into 4 and then sew that down. So same way as you sewed across the top of this hat, just straight across the top. I've just folded this one up a little bit differently and sewn across the top. And the result is a hat with that shape. I realised as I was like trying to fold it to have it lay flat on the table that the easiest way to explain it is it's this fold. So if you kind of fold the other bits into the middle in that shape, those are the 4 bits that you do. So divide it into 4 with whatever method makes the most sense. Then you want that shape, and straight across and straight across. And that then gives you this one with this 4. And little 4 points. And all of these also lie really flat. So if you were using or if you're an advanced knitter and you're looking at doing this for market or things like that, it does sit quite nicely on a table and like a market stall. So this one sits like this, so this sort of quarter size. But these are all just rectangles, so they all sit really nicely. So if you've got a desire to pack and you want to pack hats in sort of in a real rectangle, these all sit really nicely and they'll all fold up really neatly for you. So yeah, that is particularly for Jay, and also for anyone else that really can't cope with decreasing or starting at the top and increasing, which I think is harder. I think it's easier to decrease. But yeah, these are 3 different tube hats that you can make that require just a little bit of sewing and some very basic knitting, and you too can have a big pile of squishy hats to match every outfit. We'll catch you later.